All right, so hello fam, welcome back to my channel. Thank you all for clicking on the link to watch this video. If you are new here, don't forget to click on the link to subscribe to this channel. So once again, I'm back with all your tips for grad school, and today I just want to share tips on the visa interview process and some of the things that you have to do after receiving your admission letter with funding details. So if you've already received your admission letter with funding details, the next thing you have to do is to request for your I20. And I have a video on my channel where I spoke about the I20, so you can refer to that video where I touched more on like how to request for the I20 and things to look out for when you request for your I20. And after you get your I20, the next thing is to definitely like book for your visa interview and like apply for the visa, and also pay for your service fee. And with the service fee, you can always reach out to people who are outside your country of study. So for instance, if you're in Ghana, you cannot pay for the service fee in Ghana, so you have to reach out to someone who is in the US to pay for your service fee for you. So I have my friend here who will take us through like some of the interview questions that you would encounter when you go to the embassy and how to answer those questions. So some of you have been reaching out to me regarding possible interview questions and asking me to do mock interviews with you, and he's more good at that. So I think he'll just take us through some of the process. So Musa, if you can introduce yourself before we continue.
All right, thank you very much for having me. I hope you can hear me though.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, thank you very much for having me. My name is Musa Muntari. Yeah, I'm a student of life, residing in the US. So I got the opportunity, as Bilkis said, she invited me to come walk you through some of the questions you should more or less give you a preview of some of the questions you should anticipate before showing up for your visa interview, which is a very, very critical stage. Now we are currently in a time where when you should have gotten your admissions so far. For those that haven't gotten admission or perhaps have gotten admission but are still waiting for funding, this is a time when you are likely to have gotten, either admission, funding, waiting for some would be waiting for a funding decision or would be on the waiting list. However it is, you should know that whenever the decision comes, one major step, through the school, through the school application process is to apply for a visa. You didn't come this far to actually make mistakes. Common mistakes that are not supposed to be made. So therefore, it is very, very important to get yourself well prepared for the visa interview. One of the things that I would share with you, in this session, I will be sharing some tips, and then also I would talk about some of the questions you should anticipate. However, all this is just going to come from our experiences, because we've been through it. 2019 that was approximately 2 years ago, or three years ago. Yeah, alhamdulillah, we're able to pass through successfully, and since then we've also had the opportunity to guide others to apply for their visa, and most of them were very successful. So all these things is going to be based on our experiences, but we are not visa experts. Don't expect that whatever we share with you is going to be 100% accurate. There are times when experiences changes depending on how situations are. So this is something that I would like to put out there. So I would do that, and I will share useful tips that I believe that would be very useful. In the first place, having applied for your visa, considering the fact that you've filled in your DS-160, booked your appointments, and then paid your service fee, book your MRV fee, that is the visa appointment fee, and then here you are, the day of your visa appointment is here. You get to the visa, the US embassy, just so to give you a preview of how things will be like on that day. Immediately you get to the embassy, at the roundabout, at the interchange, or maybe the roundabout close to the embassy. Over there, usually what happens is that this is based on my experience in 2019. That's prior to COVID. Yeah. So you actually like take queues over there. So there are several queues depending on the timing of your interview. So the queue starts from 6:30, 7:30, 8:30. Yeah, in that manner. So depending on the time. So for instance, if your time is 8:30, you go join the queue of 8:30. The 8:30 queue. And then there are officers who would quickly come and then peruse through all your documents. Make sure that you carry all your documents. These 4 documents, passports is very necessary. Your appointment confirmation page is very necessary. Your DS-160 confirmation page is very necessary. And then your service fee receipt, a very necessary document. And then your visa appointment payment that you made at GT Bank is another very necessary document that you need to carry. And then any additional documents, your school admission letter, your funding letter, your university, how do you call it? Your university certificate. Yeah, you should carry all, being it SHS, BC, all of this. Please kindly take it along when you're going for your interview. So when you get there, the officers would actually show you how to arrange these documents, and also not to forget your passport picture. So the passport picture you submit first. You submit a soft copy online when you are submitting your DS-160. You would also be required to bring in, a hard copy of it. I think 2 copies. They end up taking 2, but it would be good to always get extra. So you make sure that you carry all this. So the officers would walk through and then tell you which document to place on what. They will show you the arrangement. And then quickly, the next stage will be for you to enter into the embassy. So before you gain entrance into the embassy, what actually happens is that there are officers. Okay, there will be another officer that would go through the list of those who have appointment on that day. So with your visa appointment confirmation page, which indicates the day, your name, the day of your interview, your name, and some basic information. Okay, so the officer will take it and then go through the list that he has for those who have an appointment on that day. And then if he confirms it, then he will just cross through your appointment confirmation page and then gives it to you back. Ensure that you take it back before you take your move. All right, so when you enter the embassy, immediately the next main step is for you to another officer will be at the main entrance, or maybe the entrance to the lobby at where you'll be having your visa interview. This officer, his job is to take your passport and then print out your name with a barcode. Okay, a barcode from your DS-160, and then this barcode would actually give them. It has like a barcode that can be scanned, which I think would have like some of your information in their system. So you print out a sticker with your name and the barcode, and then attach it to the back of your passport, and then hand it back to you. So the next step would be for you to go do your biometric. I know before COVID, this was how it is. Okay, but now I learned that the biometric is done alongside the interview. So you do your biometric where you just go do the normal biometric process, and then you take your passport picture, and then quickly you go join the queue to do your interview. All right, and then once you are in the queue, okay, waiting for your turn to do the interview, these are some of the things that you are likely to see, especially in Ghana where we had our experiences, and we are hoping that whoever is going to watch this video is going to apply to Ghana. So
there might be people applying from other countries. Regardless, I feel like it's the same for like all countries. So
all right, sure. So if for those applying in Ghana, once you are in the queue waiting for your turn, you see other consulates, other visa officers interviewing those ahead of you. You see the one who is being rejected, the one who is being, in quote, mean. But don't be intimidated. Never get yourself intimidated. One of the things is to get yourself prepared before you appear on that day. try as much as possible to get mock interviews, because in this whole process, I mean, based on my experience so far, confidence actually counts in this step. Confident Americans, one thing that I can tell you about Americans is that it's confidence. Okay, if you can appear very confident, you are likely to get away with a lot. So therefore, I would encourage you to get yourself highly confident. And one of the ways that you can get to do this is to do mock interviews. Please get people that have succeeded. Okay, people that have succeeded. Some of us are here. We are willing to always help. By Kisu, you can reach out to by Kisu or any other person.
I can share his contacts with you guys, and he's always willing to help. Like, he
No
can
problem.
practice the mock interview with you. So
Yeah. So by Kisu or any other person you know that has successfully passed through, and the person is currently in the US, okay, let the person, have mock interviews with the person. Some of the questions that you anticipate, and then get some, well thought of answers before you show up on that day, and it will really help you. So confidence is very important. Now, as it gets your turn. Now it's now time for you to go appear in front of the consular. You immediately before you appear in front of, or before you can stand in, at the counter. Okay, so the embassy in Ghana, the US embassy in Ghana is such a way that the way we have like the banks in Ghana, okay, with the teller. Yeah, it's just like the setting is just something like that. So before
which
you actually,
I think it's the same also in Nigeria and other countries. So it's just
oh,
like
okay,
the way the
yeah,
bank space is. So
exactly. So that is how it is. So before you appear, or before it gets your turn to go stand, do your interview, make sure that these documents, okay, are presented in this manner. Get your DS1 and your I20. Your I20 is a very important document. Your passport, okay, your DS160 confirmation page, your how do you call it, service fee receipt. Okay, these 4 documents, please place them in your passport. Okay, so for instance, sorry, let me do this. Yeah. So for instance, say this are your, this is your passport. Okay, let's say this is your passport. You put all the documents at the at the front page of your passport, where you have your passport picture. That's the bio information page of your passport. Okay, please place them like this. Immediately you get in front of the consular, she will request, or he or she will request for your documents. So these are the first document that you hand over to the consular. Okay. Any other documents, don't be quick to give out unless they request for them. Unless they request for them, your bank statement, your admission letter, your school certificate, don't be quick to give out documents. I will state the reason why I'm saying this. All right. So immediately you can stand in front of the consular. The consular would take these documents to pull out your DS160, and then the interview starts. All right. In 2019, before I went for my interview, Education US Department organized kind of like seminar for us, visa preparation seminar. And then in there, they invited one of the consulars, the people that do the interview at the embassy. One of the things that the woman who actually came, that is the consular. One of the things that she shared with us, okay, to help us prepare for our interview or to ace our interviews, is that whenever you come for the interview, okay, they don't expect you to come and be showing documents. When they ask you questions, show confidence, talk for yourself. They want you to talk, project. Okay, it's not for you to be quickly pulling out documents and then be showing. You only give out documents or show documents when they ask for it. This is one of the things that she said. Another thing that she also said was that she even made a joke that in Ghana, everyone is the uncle of the other. That they know that people buy bank statements. So someone will go take a bank statement or pay for a bank statement to show up, to bring, to actually come along with it at their interview. And then they end up saying, oh, it's my uncle, or it's my, they know that people even buy from outside the embassy. So she actually said that, yes, they are aware of that. but that is the reason why they want you to talk. And then another thing too is for you to know the DS-160 that you filled. They want to really know that, I mean, you are the one who filled the document. Even if you're not the one, you should make sure that whatever information that has been submitted in the DS-160 form, please familiarize yourself with all of it. Because with my experience, I know that some of the questions would come from the DS-160 that is submitted. So please, even if someone helped you to fill it up, ensure that you are familiar with whatever answer whatever response that or whatever you submitted on that form.
Yeah,
All right.
that's important because you wouldn't want to contradict yourself. So you cannot be giving
Absolutely.
different answers when they ask you. Like, you shouldn't be giving answers that are not in that form. So just make sure you review those forms and like the answers that you wrote in those forms before you get to the embassy.
Yeah. So these are very, very important. I mean, this is very, very important. Some of the things, another thing that she mentioned is that at your level, especially as someone who is coming for graduate studies, you should be able to feel or know the content of the DS-160. You shouldn't be giving contradictory responses. Yeah. And then one of the tricks or tips that I share with people is that whenever you are submitting, even if it's 4 months before your interview date, ensure that you have copy of the DS-160 that is submitted. Yeah, as humans as we are, you are likely to forget some of the things that you said in the form. So please, a day before your interview or whilst you are preparing for your interview, make sure that you actually go through the copy of the DS-160 you submitted so that you can remember some of the things. All right. So quickly, immediately you appear, you submit your document to the consular. It's normal to share pleasantries, hi or good morning, whatever greetings that you can say. However, there are times when you can say hi, but the person will not respond. That shouldn't get you intimidated. That shouldn't get you, to feel bad. Okay, don't let that affect you at all. Sometimes it is normal. It might be that the person didn't hear. Just take it as normal. So then don't let that, precipitate into your interview. So firstly, one of the first questions that you should expect to be asked is, why are you going to the US?
Okay,
Why are you
so,
going?
so before you go through the questions, I just want to touch on like putting the I20. So if you put your DS 160 form, just make sure your I20 follows like right after. Because if you have full funding and your I20 is right after the DS 160, then the consular will know that you got full funding, and like getting full funding is a plus. So you always want to put your I20 like right after your DS form. So just make sure like your I20 is just there right after.
Yeah. Another thing, thank you very much for actually reminding me of this. Before, when you get your admission, don't be quick to request for I-20 from your school. Okay, ensure that if there is any scholarship or funding that you can apply, exhaust all the alternatives before you request for I-20. The reason is that, we are coming from the part of the world where, when you don't have like full funding, you are likely to be rejected for your visa interview. When you don't have like good funding, sorry, let me say good funding. Okay, so when you have assistantship or scholarship, which is being indicated on the I-20, when you go for the interview, it's likely going to give you an upper hand. Okay, so ensure that you get whatever scholarship there is. Apply. Don't be quick to get the I-20. Let me apply for my visa. No,
Yeah.
please
And I spoke
exhaust.
about this in depthly in my I20 video. So you should
That's
definitely
all.
check that if you haven't. Yeah.
All right, great. Okay. So the first question, as I said, is, why are you going to the US? So with this question, I cannot give you a specific answer. But then here, the answer, or maybe one of the things that you should say when you are answering this question is, know the program you are going to study. Okay. If you are going to study so and so program, so and so university. Okay. Why are you going? What is the reason why you are going? Then another dimension, and this question can come in different forms, depending on the language that the consular would want to use. So don't expect a specific language. Okay, it can change. And then another aspect too is that, why do you want to study in the US? of course, why US? I mean, there are a lot of countries in the world, but why did you choose the US? Okay, here one of the things that I say is that, I mean, or I don't know if it's good to actually share some of the things that I recommend people say, is that you should know why you are choosing the US. Of course, US has quality educational system, whatever. Of course, I mean, they have a lot of opportunities, but you should have something extraordinary to add on. Yeah, I don't want to give like answers
So what are some of the extraordinary things?
all right, so for instance, I mean, someone like me, I would say, I mean, I've been taught by professors that actually schooled in different countries around the world. Okay, or lecturers that had their education in different parts of the world. However, for those who studied in the US, you could see that they have, I mean, exceptional understanding of the topic or of the subjects that they are teaching. And this, I mean, this is an indication of the quality education of the in US. So that's why you would also want to pursue suits. And sometimes it's also good to also chip in your career aspiration. For instance, if you want to become a professor and you've been taught by professors that studied in the US, and you could see that there's a trend. All professors that studied in the US, they are actually, I mean, all folks that study in the US, at the end of the day, they come out, I mean, becoming professors. So therefore, it's an indication that yes, because of the quality education that they've gotten in the US, it's really helping. Yeah,
Yeah.
and maybe
Adding, so
yeah,
adding to that, I'll just say one of the things you can also use is the research. So personally, when I was asked why, so one of the things I said was because with the research that I'm interested in, most schools in my home country don't have professors that are like more focused on that particular research area. So that's why I applied to the US. So you can also like use the research and just touch on the fact that like it's because there are lots of professors in the US that are like doing stuff related to what you are really interested in.
yeah, okay. And then the next question, another question that you should expect to be asked. Obviously, some of these or all the questions that we'll end up talking about are not going to be asked. The interview is a very short one, very short one. You are likely not to, I mean, you are likely not going to be asked all the questions that we'll be talking about. But obviously, that one I can assure you, most of the questions would be asked. Okay. And so the next question is, which school are you going to? Obviously, you should know the school you are going to. All right. And then here another, I mean, language that that the consular can use is how many schools did you apply to? The person can ask you how many schools did you apply to? So for instance, I mean, you apply to 5 schools, and then yeah, I mean, then the immediate question is I mean, how many of these schools were you admitted to? How many of these schools were you admitted to? So you should just mention the names of the schools. And then the next question too is likely to be that why did you choose this particular school that you are going? Okay, so why did you choose this school? Okay, so you chose this school because of so and so, or maybe because of, it's good to also add. Okay, if for instance you were admitted to 5 schools, okay, you were admitted to 5 schools, but then 4 of the schools didn't give you good funding, but the 5th one did. So you can mention that, oh yes, this school has given me good funding, and I believe that, I mean, good funding would help me in studying. Yes, good funding. Even the consulate, you know, the education is expensive in the US. So if you have a school with good funding, obviously you should shoot in for that. Yeah. And then another tangent that you can also consider is the research. Okay, so for instance, for those of us who are research assistants, especially my folks in the animal science and other disciplines, you know, usually you just don't submit application. You have to get a professor first before who has funding for you or money for research for you to come and then pursue whatever studies you are going to do. So they would have to give you like assistantship, or they like the professor is working in on a research area, then they pick you up. Okay, so you can add that, oh, because of this professor, I got in touch with this professor and he's doing so and so research, and then he is awarded or he's taking me as a research assistant to work in his lab, something like that. All these things are some of the reasons why you can add. There are more reasons that you can, convincing reasons. Think about those and then
Yeah.
think about
So,
those.
for those who are in non-STEM, you can still like mention professors, and it's
Mention.
really good to mention a professor's name. Like,
Yeah,
though the counselors might not know the names, but they know that you've done your research well.
research.
So, mention a specific professor's name. Be like, oh, this professor is doing this research, and that's why I'm interested in like this particular school, because that research is something I'm very much interested in. So, mention the names of the professors and mention some of the research works they are doing.
Yeah. And another question is that what program are you going to study? Okay. Some. Another question too could be, what's the duration of your program? Okay, what program and what's the duration of your program? All right. So obviously you know the program you are going to study. All right, and then the duration. Even if you don't know at all, you should go back to the department. Obviously, it's going to be on the I20. The I20 would have it. The consular knows. The consular is having your I20. She knows. So it's just tricks, more or less, to know whether you know what you're about. Yeah. So if you go say when your I20 says 2 years and you go say 3 years or a year, you are likely going to jeopardize yourself. So please make sure that you know what the I20 is saying, and give a corresponding response. And then another question, which to me is a very interesting one, is that what can you tell me about the program you are going to study? Now you've gotten admission to go do a PhD or maybe masters in animal science. And then I ask you, what can you tell me about the masters, about the program, or about the master's program in animal science at so and so school? Please, here, one of the things that I always share is that please give a summary, okay, a broad summary of how the program is going to be like. So for instance, usually master's programs here are 2 years, okay? So you mention the duration of the program, and then mention the total number of credits you are expected to complete. So for instance, okay, I know that majority schools in the US, as far as I know, okay, they require you to do for masters, you are required to complete 30 credits. Okay, out of the 30 credits, a certain number would go in for research. Yeah. So they anticipate that you should add. I just saw my sister joining. So you yeah, they expect that you should I'm kind of confused because I saw my sister. So so what you should do is that mention the duration. After that, you should mention the total number of credits. So if it's a 30, you are required to complete 30 credits. Mention that. And then out of the 30, maybe 15 for research, and then the others for coursework. Mention. And then also add that if it's a course, if it's a course, only coursework, you are not required to do thesis. Yeah, you should mention. If it requires you to do thesis, you should also add that. And then if there are other, some programs would have like core courses, courses that you should take. Yes, you should. It's good to actually add that. Yeah, to mention some of them. Yeah. So also another question too could be that do you know some of the courses you'll be taking in the first year of your program? Okay. So here, usually you are not under total control of the courses you'll be taking. In the US, the strategy is that those who design the educational system would attach. So here students are attached to advisors. Before at the beginning of every semester, the courses that you take, you kind of discuss it with your advisor, and your advisor is just there to give you advice, yeah, somewhat guide you throughout the program and ensure that you succeed at the end of the program. So whatever course you take, at the beginning of the semester, you discuss with them. If it's good, they give you the thumbs up. You just go in for it. If there's something, then you just discuss with them, and that's it. Yeah. So here, you are not under total control of it. So when you're answering this question, it is good to mention some few programs. They said, it could be that, the question could be, so pay attention. The question could be, what are some of the questions, courses you'll be taking in in your first semester? Okay, you should know some of the courses you should be taking in your first semester or first year. It could come in different forms, so pay attention. Just mention some few, and then add that. It is good to add that. Let them know that you know that you have an advisor, and the role of the advisor is to help you choose courses. And then add that, for the other courses, you can mention some 4 or maybe 3 courses, or 4, something 4, 4 should be fine. And then add that you'll be, for the rest, you figure it out when you get there. When you get to the school, you figure it out with your advisor when you get to the school. Yeah, it tells the counselor that, this person knows what they're about. They even know that, the advisor is there to help them out. Yeah. And then another question is, where did you do your undergrad? So, for instance, you are coming in for master's, so it is anticipated that you have a bachelor's degree. Where did you do it? Okay, and then when did you complete? Okay, so for me, okay, perhaps let me just use.
Yeah, you can use yourself as an example.
I don't want to be giving out so much personal information about me. Yeah. So for someone who actually completed, let's say in 2016, when they ask you this question, I completed at University of Ghana in 2016, where I studied so and so course. Mm-hmm. Okay. And the next question is likely to be that, okay, so you completed in 2016, what have you been doing since then? You are going for an interview in 2022, and you completed in 2016. What have you been doing? So now here's the question. You have to, one of the strategies or things that I recommend to people to say is that we give like timeline. Okay, so when I completed in 2017, from 2016 to 2017, I did my mandatory national service with so and so, and then from this year to this year, I worked with so and so. And this year to that year, I worked with so and so. Okay, mention, like, let them know the timeline. At least it's good. You are kind of like highlighting some of the time. You are just making them aware of the timeline. Yeah, that you've been doing something. If you haven't done anything, lying, I don't know how best you can lie. I would not recommend you to go lie, because sometimes when you are lying, it can, you can go and then you'll be fumbling, and
don't lie.
Yeah, so don't lie. Just do away with it. Yeah. And then another question too could be very personal question. These 2 questions, I always say that they are very personal to me. Okay, these questions are very personal to me. So whenever I'm doing mock interview with anyone, I always tell them that, hey, this question, please don't go and mess up whenever you are asked. First question is that how do you intend to fund your studies? Okay. So how do you intend to fund your studies? The consular is having your I20. She's seen whatever funding, or he or she has seen whatever funding you've been awarded. But still, they are asking you this question. So it's for you to actually rattle it out. How do you say it? Put it into their face. Okay, especially if you have funding, put it into their face. Like, yes, show it off. Okay, so here, ensure that whatever funding you have, I know that usually most of the funding would give you a funding letter, and then in that funding letter it will state, what the funding is actually covering. But the major 3 things are that it should cover your tuition, health insurance, and support you with monthly stipend. These 3 things are very important. If the funding covers these 3 things, hey, you're good. Okay, yeah. If it doesn't, you are still good. You are still good. Yeah, it doesn't mean that you are not. So it depends on how the funding is. So sometimes the funding can be partial, but maybe like 50%. You have to add up 50. Sometimes it can be 80. So depending on how it is. So some of the funding, let them know. If it's in the case of full funding, let them know that oh, I've been awarded a graduate teaching assistantship or a graduate users assistantship. That covers my tuition, health insurance, the cost of health insurance, and it supports me with monthly stipend. Okay. Sometimes the immediate question too could be that, do you have an assistantship or a funding letter from the school? Then you just show it to the consular, pull it out and show, because she's asking for it. Remember, don't be quick to pull out any documents when they don't ask for it. Okay, yeah. So
So apart from your I20, there's usually a funding letter, like that email that the school sent you that, oh, we've awarded you funding and stuff. You have to print out that letter. Sometimes it's separate from the admission letter.
admission
So
letter, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
always print out that funding letter as well and take it to the embassy because they might request for that.
exactly. Yeah. So make sure that you have the funding letter, show it to them. Okay. And then in the case where your funding doesn't cover all these three things that I mentioned, it is likely to cover either tuition. Just mention it. Let them know that at least you've been given certain funding. There's funding. Because the funding is a big deal. For someone who doesn't have funding, hi, like the chances are slim for him or her to get approved. So if you have funding, mention it to the consular. I have so and so funding. If it's scholarship, mention. If you have funding plus scholarship, put it to the person. Okay, mention it out there. Yeah, I always say this, mention it. It's good to actually state it. And then the next question, okay, two of the questions that are personal to me is what is your plans after studies? Okay, so with this question, you should know that you are applying for a non-immigrant visa. And the non-immigrant visa means that you are coming for a specific period of time. Okay, and then immediately you come back to your home country.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on your I20, it says that your master's program is 2 years. Whatever long-term plans you have, don't go and say it over there. I beg you. Yeah, because you've given the consular a document that is saying that your program is 2 years. Whether the school has promised you PhD after, that one is not a business. What she's seeing right now is is a 2 years masters. So don't go and say, oh, I'll do PhD afterwards. Hey, if there's PhD, it should have been indicated on the I20. So don't go and say I'll do PhD, I'll work, whatever. Hey, you are done, come back home. So here the answer is that when I'm done, my plans after studies is to return back to my home country. Please always mention that you return back to your home country. Okay, yeah. So so you return back to your home country, contribute whatever that you've learned in doing whatever in helping you achieve your career goal. All those things, just put them. But infuse your career goals. Okay, you want to become so an accountant general, what. Put it in there. Okay, so I go back. When I go study, I've learned some things. I'll come back and then work with so and so company, help them in bettering their structure, what contribute to all these things. Yeah, you should say it. When you get here, when you get your visa granted, you come here, your PhD comes. Yes, you are fine. You come to see another world on its own. Yeah, you can do your PhD after PhD or after masters. You want to work. There's what we call something we call OPT, which I'm sure Bilkis would get to talk more about that subsequently. So these are two questions that are very important. If you go say something else, please, on that question, especially what are your plans after studies, you are likely to jeopardize it. I remember this question here, the educational US embassy always emphasize on this question that hey, don't go and see anything else. Make sure that you say that you return back to your home country. Yeah. And then one of the questions that can be asked is what program you studied for your undergrad. For those that are going to do that are coming to do their undergrad, it is anticipated that you've done your high school WASI in Ghana. Okay, you've taken the WASI, whatever score you have, or SAT, you've taken all those. So, I mean, instead of asking for your transcripts or where you studied for your undergrad, in your case, it's going to be where did you study? Your high school. Which school did you attend? And then when did you take the WASI? Yeah. And then if there's a gap, you should anticipate to be asked what you've been doing since then. Yeah. And then another thing too is about your transcripts, whether you have your transcripts, your um, your exams, those standardized exams. Sorry. So for those that are coming to graduate school, you should know that you should anticipate to be asked whether you've taken a GRE. Have you taken a GRE? Have you taken any standardized exams? Do you have the score? All these scores, please, if you've taken GRE, SAT, IELTS, whatever standardized exams that you've taken, make sure that you carry the score sheet or the score to the interview. They're likely to ask you, and they might ask, what score did you get? Okay. And sometimes they would ask, if you have a proof of it, you just show it to them. Yeah. And then yes. So if another question too is that they can ask, what are you doing now? What are you doing currently? Yeah, I've seen in a number of transcripts. So we have a WhatsApp platform where we created it somewhere last year when students were preparing for their visa, and so we kind of like created a WhatsApp platform to kind of share some guidance with them, some of the things too. And then usually when they go for the interview, what we recommend them doing is to put the questions like kind of like transcribe whatever happened at the interview between them and the consular. So if you read the the transcribed interviews that students have had previously, a lot of the questions would have, what are you doing now? Okay, you finished school, you did something, what are you doing now? Just as I said, what have you been doing since you completed? If there's a gap, yeah. So you should anticipate that question. You should anticipate that question too. And then another important question too is, why are you going to pursue, for instance, masters or bachelors or PhD? Here it's a very important question. You should know why you are going to pursue whatever course you are going to pursue. Okay, but always try as much as possible to infuse it into your long-term career goals. Okay, you want to become so and so, and you believe that gaining this degree would help you in widening your scope, whatever, understanding, yeah, all those all those interesting responses. Yeah, and then yes, for those that have been awarded assistantships, okay, you should know that assistantships they are more or less like job. Okay, you are studying and then you are kind of working with your department. So being it a GTA, graduate teaching assistantship, or GRA, graduate research assistantship, yeah, sometimes the funding letter, the funding letter might state some of your responsibilities. Sometimes some of the funding letters can indicate that, you've been awarded so and so assistantship, some of your responsibilities to be so and so. So at the interview, you should expect to be asked this question: do you know some of your responsibilities as a teaching assistant or as a research assistant? It is normal it is fine if you don't know. Okay, you can just usually, okay, with teaching assistantship, basically what you're gonna do, basically you help teach, just as like TAs back home do some of the things they do. Yeah, you should anticipate, you should know at least some basic things about teaching assistantship. And also research assistantship too, you are basically going to work with the professor in the department, help him or her in doing their research. So you should know that you help in collecting data. Even if the letter doesn't say, you should know some of, like, they are just basics here. You help in collecting data, data analysis. You help in writing manuscripts. Yeah, and any other thing that has to do with research. So you are basically assisting. Sometimes with the teaching assistant, some of the some of the teaching assistant positions can be that they are going to give you a full class to teach. I know Brakisu is one. She's currently teaching like a full class. So sometimes you are not going to work under like kind of like be a TA for a specific professor. You are now going to be the professor yourself. Yeah, somewhat. So you'll be teaching. Yeah. So that's how it is. And sometimes too, some assistantship can come with a blend of teaching assistantship as well as research assistantship. For me like this, I have like a blend. In my department, usually for my masters, like that was what we did. My department, although you are fully a research assistant, however, they are also training you to become a professor more or less. So you get to take TA positions every semester with different professors. The departments. Yeah.
And with the TA, I think it's also okay to say that the roles and duties will be assigned to you once you arrive or when you start your program. Because there are some schools that will not really tell you what you do before arriving. And I think they will understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, so these are some of the questions that I've pinned down, that I've seen. A lot of times I've seen in my experience, with my personal experience going through and then later on helping students apply for their visa. A lot of them have been successful. And another useful tip that I will share is that please, first, I said confidence is very important. Americans like anything that you're going to do, hey, confidence is needed. Okay. Just be very confident at the interview. Okay. And one of the things that I said is that to help you boost your confidence level is to do a
Practice.
lot of mock interview. Yeah, practice, practice, practice. And then another thing at the interview, in our culture, they say that to show respect, whenever you're talking to an elderly person, you kind of like keep your eye on the ground somewhat,
Wait.
something like that. Yeah. So over here the culture is different, and I believe that when you get here, you would come to see that there's a huge cultural difference or cultural shock, something like that. You will see, for here, the culture is that when you're talking to someone, for the person to know that you are telling the truth is to keep eye contact. You should be looking into their eyes and talking. So please, at the interview, keep eye contact with the consular. Even if as you are doing the interview, the person is just on their screens. Usually, that's how they do. That's what
Mhm.
they do. They will just be looking into their screen, reading your DS-160 form, asking random questions on the DS-160. Sometimes they might not be looking into your eyes. Yes, that's fine. But keep your eye contact. Be looking into their face or into their eyes. Yeah. And then the last thing the last thing is to avoid the temptation of pulling out documents when they don't ask for it. Talk for yourself. Okay. When they ask, do you have your academic transcripts? Yes. Let me see. You just give it. Don't be quick. Oh, so I'm going to this. I have this money. This is my bank statement. Don't do that. Yeah, don't do that. I'll tell you that you shouldn't do that. And then also prayers as
Yeah.
I believe so much in prayer. You be prepared and then you pray and then kind of leave everything in the hands of God. Yeah, just do your part. Your part is to get prepared for your interview. You've come so far. You went through school search. The hectic thing is a full-time job to search for schools. Ended up getting schools, applying, paying application fees, receiving rejections. It's fine to receive rejections, then subsequently making it through with funding, and then at this stage, this is the last step. Yeah. So I wish
Yeah.
you the
So,
best. Unless
sure.
because you have
Thank
some other things
Yeah,
you
I don't have anything to add. I think you've touched on everything. So again, just to stress on some of the points you highlighted, just be confident, practice the interviews. Don't go providing documents that no one has asked you to provide yet. And yeah, so thank you so much, Musa, and thank you all for watching this video. if you think this video is really beneficial, the only thing you can do for me is to just subscribe to my channel and also share these videos with others. And if you have any questions, just put your question in the comment section and I'll be happy to answer those questions. Also, if you want me to connect you with Musa, I'll be happy to do that, and I'm sure Musa doesn't mind. So thank you all once again, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.